Hi, everyone. It's Maureen Ryan Blake, and welcome to the Power of the Tribe Network. I am so glad you're here with me. Well, a little bit about the Power of the Tribe. At the Power of the Tribe, we believe everyone is born with a special gift. That special something that only you have. I call it purpose. Some people call it their calling. Other people call it their vision. But it's in this space that you stand strong, powerful, and nothing can stop you. And that's what we do with the Power of the Tribe. But now, there's some people that are not living in their calling or their vision or their purpose. Maybe they forgot what that is along the way, or maybe they just never really dialed it in and figured out what their special gift is. And they're living an ordinary life. With the Power of the Tribe, we live anything but ordinary. So with this, I'm looking forward to, again, this is the 12 weeks of Celebrity Holiday Chefs. And this week, we have our Halloween special. And what Halloween special would not be complete without pumpkins? So here's the video. I'll see you at the end. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Power of the Tribe Network, Celebrity Chefs 12 Weeks Holiday Special. This week, I have a lovely treasure from Brevard County, Florida. She is the CEO and owner of Cedar Cafe. And she's also, she brings chefs together, and we'll get into that later. She's a fighter, she's a leader, and she's fabulous. So I'd like to welcome today Toni Elkhouri, and welcome to the show. So what are we cooking today?
So I figured holidays are upon us, and everybody uses this lovely thing called a pumpkin. But most people think only pumpkin pie. And there's so many other things you can do with a pumpkin, especially right after like Halloween, jack-o'-lanterns. We're going to show how to use all the lovely yumminess inside to make a pumpkin soup. And then if we have time, to use any remnants to make a pumpkin stuffed egg roll.
Oh, yummy. And okay, good. The other thing too is that, can you show us tips about, those gourds and any of them in that family, they're kind of intimidating to like cut and prepare.
They're the easiest thing in the world. They look like they're going to, it's going to be like hard. Like, what do I do? How do I do this? Honestly, you'll never use a canned pumpkin in your life. All you have to do is take a knife. Take a knife and just cut straight through.
Okay.
Okay. So you're cutting straight through. Bigger ones may need a little more knife skills.
I can almost smell that from here.
Then all you have to do is scoop out all this. Now you can strain this and then salt them and have pumpkin seeds. Take out all of this.
So if you were to strain it, okay, so you have that glob of stuff and the seeds in it.
Yeah, just remove the seeds. I just put them in a colander strainer kind of a thing. Get rid of all the little fibers. Get all the pumpkin seeds, wash them, put a little salt and olive oil, and just roast them in the oven while you're roasting your pumpkin. Because all you need to do once you've removed the seeds from the pumpkin and you've gotten rid of it all, and it's lovely like that. All you have to do is, you don't even have to put oil. Put your oven at 360 and roast it.
That's so easy.
You roast it until it's like coming together, and then it's literally like a spoon. You can just spoon up all this lovely.
It just peels out. Okay.
It just comes right out. And then you can make it into a mash. You can put it in your food processor, which is what I did for soup.
So I love turnips, and again, turnips are really difficult to work with. Is pumpkin
Same.
actually easier? Can you use
a pumpkin? You can use it now. Once you've got all this lovely little pumpkin flesh, you can then turn it around. And like for me, I take this. Like, we'll just start with the egg roll. Okay. So you take all this beautiful thing. Now you can make this savory or sweet. Because remember, when people think pumpkin, they're thinking pumpkin spice, which if you don't add the sugar, really isn't that sweet. So you just take the pumpkin. I took nothing. And then pumpkin spice is only 4 ingredients. Really? It's a little bit of allspice, a little bit of nutmeg, some cinnamon, and ginger.
I didn't know that. Okay.
That's all you do. So you blend it in there. Now, it's not sweet. You're just going to get the earthiness of those spices. You're going to get a little sweetness off of the cinnamon, but you get the earthiness of the spices. Now, if you wanted to make it sweet into a dessert, you can turn around and add a little honey.
Okay.
Or agave if you want to go vegan. And now that's nice and sweet, that filling.
It's screaming nutrients.
It's really lovely. It's really super lovely. And then what I love to do is you would turn around. You can just get some store-bought egg roll. Put a little bit of a glob on the corner. Now, if you want to add goat cheese to this, make it into little appetizers. You can add goat cheese if you want. If you don't, it's okay. If you want to make it into little mini breakfast snacks, kind of a thing, like a breakfast, almost like a cinnamon roll, you can add cinnamon or more sugar or sweetness to it. Turn the sides.
I mean, and you feed that to the kids, and they think that they're eating something that's really not good for them, but it is. I love the breakfast piece.
You can do breakfast piece, a little water on the end, and then just roll it up. You can put it in your air fryer, or to keep it super healthy, you can bake them off just brush them with a little bit of oil or butter and bake them off. Or you can fry them, pan fry with oil. Once you do that, you can do cinnamon sugar and do it almost like just toss them in some cinnamon sugar, equal parts cinnamon sugar in your food processor, and then just toss the whole thing. You can go savory. Yeah, just kind of once they come out, throw them in there, pop them in there.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, it's kind of like a, kind of a thing. Then you can just cut them in half and serve them as is, nice and warm at your party. They look like they're more intimidating than they are. They're super simple. Super simple. And you get the nice crunchy outside with that. And then even with the rest of this. So the rest of this, you can then turn around. I mean, if you want to really get creative, you can turn around and do pancakes and put this in the batter. You can use it as muffins. You can go savory or sweet
too for the baking. Okay,
it does, and it also helps you if you're doing some vegan baking because you can substitute this for egg.
Yep.
So pumpkin's a good thing. So those are the egg roll part. But now, if you didn't do this, if you just took the pumpkin and took the puree, took all the stuff from the inside, and you put it in the food processor with a little bit of either vegetable stock or chicken stock. Always keep it on hand. You get this nice little until you get this nice kind of baby food consistency. What I do is make a nice pumpkin soup. It's the flavor of fall. It's a good way of making either a main course or a starter for a lot of places. So what I start off by doing is taking an onion and some celery and a little salt with some butter and olive oil. You can omit the butter and keep it vegan. I like using the olive oil. Then what you do is you caramelize it until they kind of get tender. Not really having any coloring on them. Once it all kind of gets nice and tender and slightly translucent, what you do then is you add flour. And you just want to kind of cook it through. This will help thicken everything. If you don't want to use flour, you can use cornstarch and it's completely free. You want to cook it till you cook off that flour smell and you get a nuttiness. It smells nice and nutty now. And you're ready to add your stock. bring it all together so you have this kind of amalgamation.
Okay.
Okay. Once you get to super simple, then what you want to do is add 1 to 2 bay leaf.
I never know what to do with bay leaves.
Bay leaf gives this earthy undertone. I mean, you're going to pull it out. It's just going to be drawing in some of the flavor, giving you nice that. I feel like it gives me flavors of like fall and in the winter. It just gives that like earthiness for me anyway. 2 cups of
adding the stock, right?
Just 2 cups of stock. Your pureed pumpkin.
And so did you start with that little one? Like, just
a little pumpkin, one little pumpkin, one little, what I did is 1 little pie pumpkin or sugar pumpkin, as they call it. And then you're just going to bring this to a simmer. Now, what I always do when I do this is I like to season here. So I've got the bay leaf in there. I add a little poultry seasoning. And the reason I add some poultry seasoning, because I'm making mine vegetarian and I don't use chicken stock. And I think the poultry seasoning gives it a nice little, more back to it. You don't have to use poultry seasoning. It's mostly the thyme in the poultry seasoning that's kind of giving it that flavoring. A little bit of nutmeg. And just to give it, because pumpkin can be slightly boring, just a little bit of cayenne or Tabasco or whatever your favorite hot sauce, just a couple dabs. You won't taste it. It won't make it spicy. So now you put this back on the fire and you bring it together while that's cooking. Bring it to boil. Once it kind of comes together, just add, now you can add either cashew milk or whole milk, heavy cream, whatever kind of dairy undertone or nut-based undertone you want. It all comes together, adjust the salt, and you can serve. But how do you make yours different? So while that's kind of cooking on the stovetop, we're going to make a topper for it. Because a topper. Because again, pumpkin soup, it's nice, it's mellow, but sometimes you want to make it into more than a meal. So you can do nuts. You can take your favorite nuts, cashews, pecans, walnuts. I saw these beautiful apples today, so I'm going to be using apples, diced up apples. And then I like the contrast of apples and onions. I know it's because I want it savory, not sweet. So a little white onion, diced up and washed. Whenever you dice up onions, make sure you wash them. So that way, if you're using it in a raw application, so that the flavors don't just have a pungent onion taste. Cranberry
for you when washing. So are you just saying with water and you rinse your knife so you don't cry, or are you talking like a water wash for pesticide?
I'm thinking, I tried to use pesticide-free when possible, but after you peel it, dice it up, give it a wash.
Okay.
Because it's going to now oxidize. It's going to release all its juices, which then, if you're putting with the apples, you're going to taste the onion. It's not going to come together as quickly as you'd like it. So when you kind of wash that away, you can taste the onion and it marries better, I find.
Okay.
So then I'm adding cranberries. You can add raisins. You can add walnuts. You can, toast whatever you want. A little bit of lemon juice to keep the fruit from oxidizing. Much. Cinnamon, the holiday favorite. You can use chili powder. I'm using a little Aleppo pepper or pepper, or you can use red pepper flakes.
Okay.
And honey or agave.
Okay. So you know what I love about this? Because like Halloween is just a few days away. So within that, then what do we have things to do with our pumpkins?
Exactly. And then when you get your mini pumpkins, it's, with everyone quarantined, you can still feel festive by basically having your little mini pumpkins, borrowing it out and having your pumpkin soup. It gives you a little bit more festive. It gives you something to look forward to. It's also really nice because, you're not wasting food. You're not wasting, we're using food to decorate outside with the pumpkins. And this way you're not using food waste because there's enough hunger in the world right now that we don't need to be wasting food. If we're privileged enough to be able to decorate it with it, we're privileged enough to make soup out of it.
Okay. Yes. So I love following you on Instagram and I love your posts but tell everybody a little bit about, you're just so creative and you have some traditional coming in, but then you do so creative with going a vegan way, or in other words, giving people options. Tell us about your cooking style.
Well, I do modern Mediterranean. The reason I'm always referring back to, like, if you want to do vegan or gluten-free, is that most households nowadays have at least 1 to 2 people who aren't going or can't. Their dietary restrictions via health or, personal choice or, and they shouldn't feel alienated, because food is something that we bring together. And more times than not, you have people who you think, oh no, I've got to cook for this person. Now I've got to make them a stewed tomato. And so, which defeats the purpose of why we're eating together. When we eat together, we try to make it so that everyone has the same flavor, same bite, can have conversations, come together. So when I'm cooking something, I always am very conscious of, if there's someone with the dietary restrictions, how do I give them the same flavors? How do I make them feel part of the conversation instead of alienating them for something? So most dishes, once you learn the little tricks of changing here and there, it becomes second nature to you. And you shouldn't be intimidated if you invite someone over and go, oh no, they're on a dietary restriction because of X, Y, or Z. You don't have to go crazy. You don't have to do that. A couple of changes and everyone can have the same bite and no one will know the difference.
And I love, and all your foods are always so colorful and they're beautiful and flavorful. I love that, because you're doing simple, few basic ingredients, and yet you're able to then just do a variety.
Exactly. If you don't like, if apples are out of season, you can use pears. Don't go shopping just for 1 or 2 ingredients to make the dish. Use what you have to make the dish. And once you get that, you shouldn't have to run out and get 55 ingredients you're going to use once. That's wasting food. I know most of us have some sort of cinnamon. If you don't like cinnamon, you like nutmeg, go for it. If you don't like onions, you don't have to put the onions in. You can use walnut, you can do a nut. If you want it more earthy, you like cilantro, go ahead and do cilantro and creme fraiche or sour cream on the top. Go ahead, make it the way you want. I'm just here to give you the base idea and you can grow from there. It's what's in your kitchen basically says what your palate likes. And I'm not here to dictate to you. I'm just here to give you the guidance.
I love that. And that's one of the big principles behind the whole show, is that people are home now for the holidays and they are often not the ones cooking, but this year they might be. So we get to give them guidance to let everyone enjoy it.
And the thing is, and the reason I'm showing soup is when you get to this point and you have your soup, I'll ladle it in a second. You can add your cream. The thing about soup is this: if I pureed this and reduce this down, I can then turn around. Let me ladle this into a bowl.
And make it a sauce.
I can make it a sauce for chicken. I can make it a sauce for 100 other ingredients.
Okay, so I have a question here. So you had these nice, beautiful little pumpkins that you were using for cooking. Can we, after the pumpkin is it the few days after Halloween, can you then break up that pumpkin and eat it?
Yes, you can. Yes, you can. Depending on what the pumpkin is, you can turn around. Like if you don't have a lot of the flesh and the stuff inside, you can turn it into those egg rolls. If you have more, you can turn it into soup. If you have a lot of it, you can actually add potatoes to them and do a nice mash with like carrot pumpkin mash. So it's all what you want to do. So if I reduce this soup down, so then I've got this lovely soup. Let's see if I can do this.
Okay, I love your friend's cup.
Because we're all friends here. And then you're just going to add the topper to it, which then allows a mystery bite every time. Because what are you getting? Are you getting the apples? Are you getting the onion?
And that's so satisfying.
And it fills the soul, especially when you get this, the sweet and savory aspects of things. If you keep the topper off and you reduce it down, now you have leftover turkey. You can then turn around or say the turkey, for a lot of person, maybe you cooked it a little too dry and you've got pieces that are dry. You can reduce this down. You can pour it over with some, if you do make a turkey on the day of and it's a little dry, just heat up some chicken stock or some, and then pour it on there. It rehydrates it a bit to kind of get you through. But the next day, reduce this down, pour the two, and make turkey pumpkin enchiladas. Put it in tortilla, heat it up in the oven. You're good.
And then again, we talk about food, and the whole about eating healthy is the more flavor, the colors you eat, the healthy you are.
True.
So, right?
I mean, if you look, you've got orange and red, and you know, you eat with your eyes first. If you, the misconception is if you are eating and it is, the more colorful it is, like especially with healthier foods, the more you're going to be like, ooh, I feel healthy eating this, and I'm going to eat more of this. And when it tastes good, it's a plus. And so my goal is to make it look good, but before that, make it taste good. So I work backwards. Well, make it taste good and then make it look good.
We had a discussion about the balancing flavors. Can you lean into that a little bit about what that's like, the savory, the sweet, and then just that's another whole guide, just keeping things simple when you think in those terms.
When you look at things, so like I said before, you should use what's in your kitchen. And the number one thing is you have a lot more ingredients in your kitchen than you realize. For instance, if you need an acid in something, like something acidic, oh, I don't have lemon, I don't have lemon or lime, so now I have to run out. The next thing your mind's going to go to, oh, I can orange juice, but it's sweet. I'm like, well, do you have strawberries? Do you have kumquats? Do you have pomegranates? All of those are acids. And if you have them in your kitchen, that means you like that flavor. Okay. Now you just have to adjust it. You can use strawberries, for instance, which is one of my favorite things to do, is to use strawberries and do a puree. Like, I have pasta, I have strawberries. I don't have pasta sauce. I can't make spaghetti. Yes, you can. You can boil your pasta. And then what you turn around is you take your strawberries or your kumquats, or name your favorite citrus-based fruit, and then just saute them, cut them up and saute them or puree them with a little thyme, a little coconut milk, a little salt. And guess what? You have a savory, kind of acidic-based spaghetti sauce.
Well, okay, so where does the sweet go from the strawberries?
Strawberries aren't sweet until you add sugar or until they're ripened, overly ripened. But next time you taste a strawberry, you get a little hint of sweetness. But when you add the coconut milk to it and the thyme, because this is where seasoning and spices kind of play a part, where you take it there, it goes. So if I added cinnamon or nutmeg to it, it would go sweeter. Mm-hmm. But since I'm adding, or not necessarily nutmeg brings it bounce. Like if I bring cinnamon, or if I bring in any type of like sweet-based honey and things of that nature, go sweet. But if I bring in thyme and oregano or mint, it's going to go savory. And so therefore it's, you dictate that. And I think people are afraid to play. And I'm like, here's the thing. If you play in your kitchen and you're doing little batches and it comes out bad, who's going to care?
Your dogs might even be happy.
No one. I mean, worst comes to worst, you blend it up and make it into a smoothie.
This is true. This is true. Okay, I love to hear you don't waste food. That's another thing too.
Even tea leaves. So when you make hibiscus tea, beautiful hibiscus tea makes fantastic, or hibiscus leaves make fantastic faux taco meat.
Okay, give me more.
I'll explain. So hibiscus tea, you brew a cup of hibiscus tea on a nice cool day. You drink it. Now those tea leaves, you're going to throw it out. Beautiful leaves, or you're going to do a double brew. So you're going to take these leaves, you're going to wash them thoroughly, put them in a colander, make sure they're very well washed out until the color starts kind of fading a bit. Then you're going to put them in a pot with a lot of water, and you're going to boil them till they overbloom. Now, once they overbloom, you're going to take that out. Don't waste that water, reduce it down, and you can add some sugar, honey, and make simple syrup out of it. So next time you make regular iced tea, you can make a hibiscus tea, a syrup out of it. Now, the hibiscus leaves, you saute an onion or garlic, cumin. I mean, if you want to cheat, you can get taco seasoning, but taco seasoning is primarily cumin, coriander, garlic, onions. So you're sauteing that. Then you add the hibiscus to it, and you saute the whole thing in a little olive oil. and it's delicious.
Really? And again, it's vegan. It's another
It's
alternative.
vegan.
And you know what? We don't always be needing to eat meat every night. It's not good for us.
Classically, we didn't eat meat every night.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's funny, depending on what era you're looking at, it was looked at as, a standard of culture of money to have a big fat steak for dinner, and meat. But then our cholesterols all went up and diabetes and obesity and things of that nature. Most cultures don't eat meat every day. Normally it's 3 times a week in the rest of the world. So it's looking at food. And I think it's most people, especially in my restaurant, I give them food. And when I give them vegetarian, I could start off with 10 different vegetarian things, and they don't realize they're vegetarian and they're full and they're satisfied. They didn't realize they didn't get a protein and they didn't miss it. So I treat it where all my sides, all my vegetables are the main course and the protein is the side dish. Okay. And so eat your vegetables. It makes the difference and you feel more energized. You can utilize everything else. From that humble pumpkin, you got pumpkin seeds to snack on, as well as the flesh to make either soup or an appetizer. You can have breakfast, lunch, or dinner out of it. Okay, you can't really do that with steak. I wouldn't recommend dessert with steak.
Oh. So do you have a book yet? Because you really do.
I do not have time for one right now.
I think it should be Eat Your Vegetables. That would be the title for you.
Perfect.
Mm-hmm. So what else are you up to? Tell us a little bit the life, a day.
Well, in early August, there was a bombing. I am Lebanese. There was a huge explosion on the port of Lebanon. So I am still working on relief effort for the country of Lebanon because you have a huge number of Lebanese people who have no homes. Winter is coming and they're actively trying to get back homes and, jobs and food and things of that nature. So we're working on that. It's election time here in the US. So I'm actively this morning, is the first day that Florida could vote. I woke up early, was at the polls an hour before they opened, and there was a line around the block, which is great. So right now we're doing a food to the polls. So if you're in line, stay in line, call it in, and we'll bring it to you.
Did you say food for the polls? I love that.
Because people are going to be at the polls for a few hours. If they're bringing their children and it's their first time voting, we want to give them a positive experience because these are future voters. So if you're in line, stay in line, vocalize your opinion, whether I agree with you or not. It is your right. It is, we as Americans have very few civic duties that we need to do. And yet the two that we have to do consistently are the ones that we all complain about: voting and jury duty. We're not asked, it's not like other countries where when you turn 18, you have to join the military or you have to do this X, Y, or Z. It's like, we're just asked, and we're consistently getting it made easier for us. And we're still like, you can vote by mail. You can vote early in some states. If you vote by mail, I recommend you take it to the poll, to your, voter registration or voter supervisor elections office and drop it off because we don't know what the mail is going to do this time around. You can go on the day and vote. You can vote early. There's options. So there's really no excuse if you're a registered voter why you shouldn't. And there's really no excuse if you're over 18 and not a felon why you shouldn't be a registered voter in the United States.
Okay, so tell me about, now if we've had some conversations, which I'm really grateful to have, tell me about the James Beard Foundation, that's all about.
I am very lucky. So I am a vegetarian that is known for cooking meat. This past summer, I had the privilege to participate in the James Beard boot camp, policy initiative boot camp, which they take a select few of chefs, we apply for the position, and we get to learn about how to make change, help advocate for policy changes and things of that nature in our country, how to take our ideas and not just quit complaining and get to work.
Okay.
And they give us tools, and in our toolkit is that, we have access to fantastic lobbyists that have mentored us into showing us what we need to do. Because sometimes, you have something you want to advocate for, but you don't know the roadmap on how to get it done. And this year, with the pandemic hitting us, now we're going to 8th, almost 9th month of this, restaurants have had to be in the forefront. And those of us that have had the privilege of being restaurant owners as well as restaurant chefs have the duty and care, responsibility to take care of our staff, run our restaurant, and keep the industry alive. So, we're lucky to work and advocate for the Restaurant Act, which now is in the House bill for the next stimulus package. Hopefully it makes it onto the Senate bill. The Restaurant Act, which will save, I'm not trying to, kid around here, it will save restaurants. It will save small independent restaurants. We're not talking big chains. I'm not talking, TGI Fridays and Applebee's. I'm talking like my restaurant. I'm talking like the small food truck, the place. I'm talking the little coffee shop in your own hometown, the ones that you make all your memories, the ones that you had someone popped a question for, someone had their first birthday. You got together after school in high school. The places that, it's more than just food. It's where you come together, and it gives the character for each of our communities. We're struggling because while everyone else, has deep pockets, we do not. While everyone else they go, oh, the PPP loan, that's great. It's based off of how much they can get. So if I'm applying to my local bank,
the more money you get, which is they want to issue the bigger loans. So we were last on the list because as big as you are, you're not going to be as big as, and then you're going up against engineering firms and law firms who have huge payrolls compared to us. So it wasn't delegated fairly. This is a bill, or part of a bill now, that is been tailored specifically for our industry, and it's self-paying. Yeah, because tell us why it's actually really good economics to do it. Why it really
it's really a no-brainer. I'll give you my little hometown of a little over 600,000 people. So there's a little over 500,000 people who live in Brevard County. We have 1,163 independent facilities. That's restaurants, that's bakeries, that's coffee shops, that's bars, that's food trucks and catering companies that will be directly impacted by this. When I pulled the numbers in Brevard County, on average, because in the state of Florida, we do not have income tax.
Right.
So the state, how do we pay our firefighters and our police officers and build our roads? It's based off sales tax. So in the average month, in the 5-year average, in the average month, my county's sales tax, or the sales that pertain to sales tax, every month average about $96 million a month, which equates to close to $7 million in sales tax that they get from Brevard County alone, just in the restaurant industry. When we went into lockdown mode, that number dwindled to a little over 30 million for those months. If we lose those restaurants, if you lose my restaurant and food truck and the bakery down and the coffee shop and the bar, that's going to be a permanent thing.
There's going to be a gap in the budget.
So and then other cutbacks, as well as you're going to have more people on unemployment, then you're going to have more places that either buildings that mortgages are now gone under or rent is now going under. You're talking about hood cleaners. You're talking about window washers. You're talking about, our farmers that we utilize.
Yeah, absolutely.
You're talking about the cattlemen, the farmers, like Lake Meadow Farms that I get eggs and chicken and proteins from. Like, they're all going to hurt. My mushroom guy, all these people are going to then, and then it's going to be this domino effect, because it's not just, we don't just employ our people. We employ a lot of subsidiary, because it takes a lot to run a restaurant. So now that goes away. So now if you allocate, let's say something ridiculous, like $50 million to Brevard County. Well, we give more than that in a year in sales tax. So what you're saving is within a year, you're going to get that money back in fold. not just directly, but indirectly, because now we have cash on hand to be able to pay everyone. You've taken them off of unemployment. You've now paid your rent.
And the flip side also is that how much will it cost when all these people start losing their jobs and that domino effect? It's not just that 50.
And it's not just about finance at that point, because here's the thing, mental health is a big thing. And right now, everyone who's home is depressed. We don't see a light at the end of the tunnel. We don't see an end game. We don't know. And unfortunately, I live in a state where my governor has failed to lead. Like, our leaders aren't leading. And it falls upon us to do the job for ourselves, to keep our people safe, to make those decisions. And we can only take on so much. And if we lose the restaurants, if we lose all that, you're not just losing a job, you're losing your identity.
Yeah.
For a lot. And as a female, we're losing an industry which allows, especially like our service and things, which allows them, especially for a single mother, to be home, to do things, to kind of make the money, but at the same time, have some sort of quality life. I mean, it's bad enough with this pandemic that women are being set back, because who's going, now we're kind of, who's staying home with the kids to homeschool? Yep. So we need to kind of re-solidify our place in the country, and we need that help. It's not a handout. It's honestly a business transaction that makes total sense. I understand the airline industry is getting hit hard. All industries are getting hit hard, but ours is a self-paying prophecy. Like, what we're asking for, we've given you the numbers on how we're going to give it back within a year.
And the other thing too, even the cultural and just flavors of your town are defined by your restaurants.
True. Our memories are defined by our restaurants. And that's what we try to do. I mean, even a small coffee shop that just, it may be a signature coffee that they make. How they do this, it could be, it's not so much necessarily, it's the feeling you get. It's the warmth, it's belonging. I just showed a friend's cup. When everyone thinks of that, they think of Monica One, but where do they think? They think of a coffee shop. I mean, it's restaurants are so engraved into our, food and restaurants, and just the whole community aspect is engraved into all of our social medias. It's all over any kind of TV show or movie. There's going to be some sort of eating scene at some point. Someone's drinking or eating either at a cafe or a bar or whatnot. You're doing your business meetings there. You are, giving people, like telling people you're pregnant, or, doing, or celebrating someone's surprise birthday party, or popping the question, or going there to
girls' night out. We need that
girls'
back.
night out. Oh God. Yeah. Zoom's just not the same. There's only so much of self-drinking wine that you can do without being considered alcoholic. So it's all of those things that we need to get done in order for us to get our sense of normalcy back. Because if we don't do the groundwork now, we won't have it later.
It's not going to come back.
And so that's where we are as a community. What we fail to do is, everybody's pushing that we need to reopen. We're never going to be 100% back if we don't set the groundwork for normalcy when we come out of this on the other end.
Yeah. I agree completely. So where can people find out more about you and what you do? And
well, they can follow me on social media. Our Instagram for the store is Cedar's Cafe. Facebook is Cedar's Cafe. You can follow I apologize if you're following me personally on Twitter. It's SLTONI 79 on Twitter. That's me. I speak my mind, and I try to kind of, just like in food, try to change people's perspective through every bite.
I love that. I love that a lot. And you stand as a leader. We need leaders.
I'm female. We're all leaders. It's inherent in being female. We are grown and groomed I'm very proud to be from family that has shaped us to not think of it as a hindrance, but as a positive note. A woman has the ability to do multiple things, including bear life. We also have to, and from bearing life, you are responsible for that. So we grow up being responsible for humans. I have no children, but every child is my child.
I love that. And you get to feed them too.
I get to nourish their souls.
I love it. So Toni, thank you. Because again, we'll be a few days from Halloween. So how appropriate is this that we get to know what to do with the pumpkin?
Reuse and repurpose and have a delicious meal.
My friend, it's a pleasure as always to see you. And stay safe out there, and good luck with the bill. And can you send me a link so I can link it with your stuff?
Of course.
Okay, good. All right, everybody, here we go. Toni Elkhouri. And lovely from Brevard County, Florida, Cedar Cafe, everybody. Check her out. Thanks.
Bye.
Welcome back, everyone. Well, we are just about finished with our Halloween special, and we definitely are wrapping up with the many ways to use a pumpkin. I didn't know there was so many things you can make with a pumpkin. And, so I have a surprise for you. Do you want a chance to be on TV? We have a contest, and you can go to thepowerofthetribe.com/TV to enter. One lucky contestant will win each month. And at the end of 6 months, we will be having a special TV segment just with the winners. This should be fun. Do you have a story you want to get out? Maybe you have a talent or a song you want to sing, or maybe just have a good joke to tell. Well, go enter at thepowerofthetribe.com/TV and get yourself in the contest so you can be on TV with me next. All right, everyone, happy Halloween. And next week, we will be having Zuzu. Okay, I'm going to have Zuzu pronounce her name when she comes on, but she's lovely. And so see you next week. And thanks for being here.